Wednesday. Welcome back to BT. We're going four wide here on the couch. Great to see you. Quite the story developed on social media yesterday. Not the first time or the last time we'll say that. But Mike Babcock used to be the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, signed a big deal, 8-year contract, gone after 4 and a bit. Mike Babcock has won a Stanley Cup. He's won an Olympic gold medal. He is going to the Hall of Fame. He's one of the great coaches of this era. Mike Babcock also has a reputation. He is not shy of exerting his authority. There is a classic story here in Toronto of a young Mitch Marner being asked who are the laziest guys in the room in a private conversation, and that information being made public in the dressing room. That is one of a few where you look at Mike Babcock as an NHL head coach and say that's a little offside. So this story is about authority and what's acceptable and what isn't. The Spitting Chicklets podcast, along with 32 Thoughts, the podcast here at Sportsnet, is one of the biggest hockey podcasts in the world. And yesterday, Paul Bissonnette, one of the more influential hockey voices right now, said he's received several texts from people on the Columbus Blue Jackets, where Mike Babcock is currently coaching, just recently got hired, getting ready for his first season, saying that he's asking players to show them family photos from their phone, and he wants to know what type of people they are. So this story spread like wildfire immediately in the hockey circles. Mike Babcock issued a statement through the team. This is what he said. While meeting with our players and staff, I asked them to share off their phones family pictures as part of the process of getting to know them better. There's absolutely nothing more to it than that. The way this was portrayed on Chicklets was a gross misrepresentation of those meetings. One of the players in question was Babcock-Jenner, who's captain of the Blue Jackets. Same statement. He said, while meeting with Babs, he asked me about my family and where I'm from, my upcoming wedding, and hockey-related stuff. He then asked if I had pictures of my family, and I was happy to share some with him. He showed me some pictures of his. I thought it was a great first meeting, good way for us to start to build a relationship. One last note before we go around the horn. Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet last night in a column reported that he spoke to a lot of players around the league. This is nothing new for Babcock. He did this with the Leafs. He did this with Detroit, doing it now with Columbus. Most players he spoke to didn't have an issue with it. He spoke to a couple, though, that did. And there were some players who've never played for Mike Babcock who were horrified at this story. So this opens up a lot of things. Devo, I'll go to you first. Is this weird, or is this okay for a coach or superior to do?
Man, that's a tough one. It depends on the environment and the relationship that you're going to have with somebody. So in a corporate 9 to 5, I think it'd be a little bit weird. I think in a team environment, it could be going too far depending on how. I think it's context, man, and how you ask it, too. If it's a conversation is, hey, like, you know, we're going to be working close together. Like, you have your wedding coming up. Would love to see photos of your fiance and your family and who's all going to be involved. If that's the conversation in that kind of tone and manner, I have no problem with it. Because you want to build, that's not just authority, that's building a friendship and a relationship with somebody and knowing them outside of that business world. And in a sport, in a team like that, when you're together with everybody pretty much 24/7, I think it's okay. You want to know the person you're around. You want to know what you're getting into because you're traveling together, you're playing together, you're leaning on each other. You're going to find out eventually and probably see these photos at some point anyhow. So I get the invasion of a little bit of privacy if you're not comfortable with that. My question would be is when somebody says back to him, I'm not okay with sharing, then what's the reaction and how are they treated? That would be my question for this story as opposed to, you know, he's in their face. I don't think that he's in their face. It doesn't sound like that to me.
But some of the, because there's a lot of stuff there. It's good stuff. Like some of the things that we're being accused, though, Tam, is like he was taking some of the photos and putting them up on Apple AirPlay on his TV in his office. Like it got a little weird. Your general thoughts on that?
That is weird to me. If you're doing that in front of the team, let's say, like wanting to put them up, or even if you're putting them up in the office and it's just you one-on-one with Babcock, that's still a little strange. If you're having just that general conversation, the way that Babcock-Jenner characterized it was just, you know, we were getting to know each other, we're chatting. He's like, oh, let me see. Meredith, I'm getting to know you as well. I would love to see pictures of your family, the kids, of Rodney, and learn more. And so I feel like it's a way that you do get to know someone, get to know what their life is like outside of, you know, the box that you are in. And I don't see it being as weird as others are making it out to be. I really don't.
Meredith Shaw?
It's funny. I did not think it was strange because I thought, too, that's the way you find out about someone is sort of who their contemporaries, who their family is. But just when you kind of fake asked me to see photos of Rodney and the kids, I thought, weird.
See?
Like there was a little bit, because normally I think in a relationship that just comes. Like I would show you or you would see it. Or, but, I think you're right, Devo. In a team situation, it's a bit different. And he's clearly trying to create relationship quickly with these guys because they got work to do. And so as long as everyone has comfort level there, I think that's okay. But when there is discomfort, and clearly there is, or they wouldn't have been speaking out that way, then I think you got to change your coaching tactic.
I don't like to be told what to do.
Really?
I have a problem. Like, honestly, I have an issue. To a certain extent, I gotta be honest. If anyone in this company, especially if we're just getting to know each other, if anyone in this company asked me to see my family on my phone, I'd have a 2-word answer. And it's not, I'm good. I'd have a very quick 2-word answer. I think if you're in a position of power, like asking to see friends' pictures and how are the kids, that's a different, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a coach who has a history of exerting his influence regardless of whether or not it's uncomfortable for another player. That has been confirmed. And yesterday, they confirmed that Coach Babcock's been asking and seeing pictures of families. I think that's super weird for someone of influence. And we've seen, a lot of people of influence do some weird things. I think there was a responsibility there. Because hockey culture is not the type of culture where you can just tell your coach, I don't want to do that. Which is why they're now running to a podcast. Anyone who says podcasts aren't that important have no idea what they're talking about. This podcast is now becoming a voice for players who feel like they don't have one. And by the way, Paul Bissonnette and everyone on that podcast, Spittin' Chicklets, they doubled and tripled down on what they're hearing yesterday. So this story's not going anywhere. The other thing I can't believe in this is the National Hockey League, a league that moves at a snail's pace on very serious issues like sexual assault, like racism. You need to wait for a while to hear something from the National Hockey League or the PA on any of these. The second this thing came out yesterday, statement from the PA, statement from the NHL, statement from the Columbus Blue Jackets, from 2 people, the captain and their head coach. The influence of that podcast is outrageous right now. And players now who never have had a voice in hockey feel like they have one. So we'll see where this goes. I found it weird. I don't think it's a fireable offense, but I don't think players for that organization and for the Leafs in the past and for the Red Wings in the past have felt like they have the power to tell Mike Babcock no when things get weird. And that is consistent with what we've been hearing ever since he left the Leafs, which a lot of stories came out after he left the Leafs very quickly. This is very consistent with that. So I feel a lot more strongly about this than maybe some other people. This isn't friends having a coffee looking at your kids. This is not that. I feel like this, as a superior, I think there needs to be a line, and looking at your camera roll, to me, is it.
But he didn't go say, give me your phone, I'm going to scroll through your camera roll.
That's how Spittin' Chicklets had it described
but
to them.
this is the thing, man. Sports media, we know, and you were in it for a long time. I know we got to wrap up, but there's got to be another side to it. We're just getting he said.
A lot of that,
There's no confirmation. Nobody's spoken out publicly and being like, oh, man, I didn't like it. A former player could easily just be like, yeah, he did that, and this is how it was, and I didn't like it. No one's doing that, and I'm not, trying to discredit the guys on the podcast.
But no one on that team's going to say that right now either. That's not hockey culture.
I'm not trying to discredit the guys on the podcast or anything like that, but we know, dude, it's it's first week of school. Hockey season's getting close. You need stories. You need things to talk about. You got something to talk about.
And you're right. It was he said. Where's the she said? That's what I want to know.
Right?
Not in the NHL right now.
Not in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's going to change. All right, let us know at Breakfast TV. Everyone's talking about this. This spread like crazy yesterday out of nowhere. Let us know what you think, offside or not, at Breakfast TV on Twitter. Also,